Hey friends, Ash here. Hope that you're doing well. Today I've got for you guys 10 different compliment pulling fragrances that are sort of hidden gems in a lot of ways, more under the radar. So most of these are gonna be fragrances that your average Joes out there are not gonna be wearing, but they're just as good as those hype monster fragrances out there, and a lot of the times way cheaper too. And also, I'm gonna give away some stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with today's video. I got two of them, so two different fragrances. Everything I talk to you guys about is gonna be linked in the description, so check them out down there. And my scent of the day, since some of you have been asking me to include that in videos, is myself Le Parfum. So actually earlier today, I was wearing one of the fragrances that I'm working on. You can see some of those back there. All those little bottles. Those are for a fragrance that I'm working on now that's gonna come out in 2025. So I was testing out one of the new submissions, but after that, I sprayed this on. The reason is it's really cold today and I'm going to a get together with friends. So I figured I'd wear something that works well in the cold, but is also just kind of a dumb reach, easy to wear. All right, let's get started with the fragrances. And it's kind of a mix. So some of these are more spring, summer, some are more fall, winter. And we're gonna start with spring, summer with Choo Man Ice. This one's pretty affordable, smells amazing, especially when it's really hot outside, and it can work as an alternative or a replacement for Dior Homme cologne, which is way more expensive than this. So this one's gonna be really citrusy and fresh off the top, extremely bright and clean with a little bit of sweetness as well. Then as it dries down, it's got musk, a little bit of a woody aspect as well. Like I said, a good replacement for Dior Homme cologne. And one other thing that I wanna bring up is just Jimmy Choo in general. Because yes, I'm including Choo Man Ice here, which is probably my favorite from the Jimmy Choo Man line, but for the most part, the Choo Man fragrances are all really cheap from discounters. So a lot of the time you're looking at like 30 bucks, sometimes less, especially if you're getting a 50 ml size bottle, and they can be worn all the time. So the original Choo Man Intense, Choo Man Aqua, another one that's really safe, easy to wear for spring and summer. I don't have the newest one, which I think is Choo Man Extreme, comes in like a red bottle. I've seen it at Macy's, but between you and me, no offense to Jimmy Choo, I'm not gonna pay full retail for that. I'm just gonna wait until it pops up at like Fragrance Buy or JOMASHOP or something. I'm gonna pay like 30 bucks. I'll go up to 40, okay? I'll go up to 40, but I'm waiting for it to hit there, then I'm gonna scoop that one up and see how it is also. But yeah, Choo Man Ice, great, great, great for when it's hot outside. People love it, big compliment puller. One drawback, performance, it's not amazing. It's not gonna blow you away. But for this type of fragrance, it's fine. Let's go next with another cheapie. This one right here, Halloween Man Shot. Interesting name. So this one is gonna run you right around 30 bucks, maybe 35. In the past, you could find it for under 30, but it's gonna be around that range. So we're gonna say roughly 25 to 35, depending on where you're shopping and where has it in stock when you're looking. It does come in a nice size bottle, 4.2 ounces, so you do get a little bit extra for your money, for whatever that's worth. And in terms of notes, it's actually got kind of interesting note breakdown. So there's cardamom in here, there's also black pepper, daiquiri, sage, iris, leather, vanilla, and amberwood. And so you've got a fragrance that's very warm, spicy, sexy, with a little touch of creamy iris mixing together with that vanilla. Doesn't come across like overtly makeup-y. It doesn't come across like Dior Homme style iris or anything like that. It's more of like a sexy date night evening scent. It's got this bit of elegance, but then still has that compliment factor, that sex appeal from all those sweet spices. It's a little bit similar to La Nuit L'Homme, the original Eau de Toilette, also Mont Blanc Legend Night, which actually is probably closer to that than La Nuit. And for the price point, the quality here is nuts. This is one of the better Halloween Man fragrances. Also Halloween Man X, I feel like personally is really, really good. The original Halloween Man, which comes in the purple bottle, that one is similar to 1 Million by Paco Rabanne. Halloween Man Hero is a decent, inexpensive blue fragrance if you wanted to go that route. And then the newest one, at least as of this video, Halloween Man Mystery. That one's gonna be a little bit more expensive than this one typically. That one might get closer to like 40 bucks, but that's a nice, sweet, wearable fragrance also, kind of similar to Paco Rabanne's Black XS. So Halloween is another one that has a lot of different fragrances that for the price point are really good buys, that have versatility, that have a compliment factor, and that most people probably don't know about. At least your average bro is probably not walking into Macy's like, hey, you got the new Halloween, man. They could be, but probably not. Before we hop to the next fragrance, guys, here are some codes you can use to save money across a bunch of different fragrance websites. Now, I've already talked about a couple cheap fragrances, and I have some cheap ones to come. But if you want to make those fragrances even cheaper still, you can use some of these codes to save money across a bunch of different fragrance discounters. So JOMASHOP, for example, you can use those codes to save a little extra money. They do only work within the JOMASHOP app, though, so you have to download the app to use them. Then I also have codes for Max Aroma, Fragflex, the Perfume Box, and more. So if you shop at any of these different websites, you can use these codes. Next fragrance is one that is absurdly, stupidly expensive as of this video. And I filmed one not too terribly long ago where I talked about this one just because the price point I feel like is nuts. It's Ralph's Club, and you can get this right now for 25 bucks. See? Ralph's Club, 50 mil, $25. Just in case they raise the price, but it's been that for the past couple weeks at least. I think that price is nuts. It is a steal at 25 bones. In case you're unaware of Ralph's Club, this is the original. Obviously, there are a lot of flankers now. There's the Eau de Toilette, there's the Parfum, there's the Elixir. This is the first one, the Eau de Parfum. It's done by the same perfumer that did the Y line of fragrances. So, you know, Y Eau de Parfum, Y Eau de Toilette, all those, Dominique Ropion. He did this fragrance as well. And it does have some similarities with the Y line. So if you're familiar with that one and you smell this one, you might be like, oh, yeah, they're kind of like in the same family. They're not brothers or anything, maybe cousins. It's not quite as sweet as the Y line is, but it still has that compliment factor. It's maybe a little bit more grown up, a little bit more aromatic. So you have more of like a slight green facet to this one in comparison to the Y line. Again, not as sweet overall and has a different type of wood in the base. Instead of being full on amber woods, this is a little bit more vetiver. And while there are some of those differences between this and Y, one thing they do share in common is that versatility and compliment factor. You can wear this anytime. It's fresh enough that you can pull it off during spring and summer. You know, it's not too sweet, like I mentioned, so you can still pull it off when it's warm outside. It's not gonna become overly cloying or anything like that. And it has enough lasting power to work when it's colder outside. Also safe as an office fragrance, a good date night fragrance. It's just one of those ones that's like a jack of all trades, you know, Swiss Army knife type of fragrance that you can keep in your collection and wear anytime. And at that price point, like I said, a steal. So now we go back to cool weather. Let's go with this one, Rochas Man Intense. This is an interesting bottle, you could say. This one's gonna run you right around $40. So again, not crazy expensive or anything like that. And you know, maybe you could say the bottle is futuristic looking. Like it looks like an alien device or something. I know that some people back in the day with the original Rochas Man would take this off and then flip it around and be like, oh, it works as a stand. You can sit it like this and then it looks better. Kind of, except if you touch it, it just falls over. But yeah, you can kind of make that work, I guess. So if you're unaware of this fragrance for any reason, this one is really well known for being a coffee-based fragrance. And in terms of notes, it's fairly simple. There's cappuccino in there, which is gonna give you that coffee vibe. There's also cedar, vanilla, lavender, and a touch of citrus as well. And the original Rochas Man is oftentimes a bit cheaper than this one. So if you wanted to go full on budget, you can get that one. It still smells amazing. If you want a little more performance, that's where you would get this one. And for me, I would go with the Intense. I think between the two, that's the better one to have, at least as of right now, because again, you're gonna get a little more performance from it. Overall, the scent has been restructured a little bit and it's a little more contemporary. It's also potentially a fragrance that you could use as an alternative or replacement for Coffee Break from Maison Martin Margiela, which is a lot more expensive. So super pleasant cappuccino coffee vibes with a good amount of lavender in there. Helps you stand apart against what other people are gonna be wearing in terms of wintertime fragrances. Smells great, cozy, sexy, another compliment puller. Let's go warm weather again with Missoni Wave. Now, Missoni Wave is one that's gotten hyped a lot from people within the fragrance community for a couple of reasons. First reason, it's pretty cheap. That never hurts, right? If you go to a fragrance store, you know, your discounter of choice, you're looking through and you go, oh, that's like 30 bucks. That's nice. Which it's a little more expensive nowadays than it used to be, and it's like heyday of being talked about. Nowadays, it's like 40, 45 or so. Still, you do get a magnetic cap. I am contractually obligated by the Magnetic Bottle Cap Association of the world to mention that. That's not a real thing. So in terms of notes, this one has aquatic notes, probably not a big surprise since it is called Wave after all. You have citrus, lavender, rosemary, clary, sage, vetiver, patchouli in there as well. Really, really good for spring and summertime. Smells similar to Versace Pour Homme or Chanel Allure Homme Sport. Just one of those ones that's almost nostalgic for me, mainly because I wore a whole lot of Versace Pour Homme when that fragrance was newer. So like smelling this now, it kind of, you know, kind of tickles my brain. That's normal, right? Another one with extreme versatility when it's warm outside, and one that people go crazy for. Now, it's not gonna be the most unique one because again, it's similar to those two fragrances I just mentioned and they're both pretty popular. But in terms of bang for your buck, this is one of the better summertime fragrances out there. And as long as it stays where it's at right now, price-wise, it will maintain that. Let's go La Nuit de l'Homme next from Yves Saint Laurent, but this is the Eau de Parfum. So the Eau de Toilette is obviously like the monster, the huge La Nuit de l'Homme that everybody knows about, everybody talks about, everybody owns. But the Eau de Parfum kind of gets overlooked a little bit. Now, this one is more expensive than everything else that we've talked about so far. This is not one that you're gonna find at discounters for 30 bucks, 35 bucks. So do be aware of that. It's a little bit more on the pricey side, at least in comparison to the other ones. In terms of notes, you've got cardamom in here, which is gonna tie it in with the original La Nuit de l'Homme. There's also a touch of citrus, lavender, leather, tonka, sandalwood, and patchouli as well. And when you first spray it on, you might be like, oh, okay, yeah, it's pretty close to the original La Nuit de l'Homme because, again, that cardamom. But then as it dries down, it does kind of go its own way a little bit, especially with that leather coming out. The performance is also gonna be better here with La Nuit de l'Homme Eau de Parfum in comparison to the Eau de Toilette, so that's good as well. Gives you a little extra longevity. The push is slightly amplified as well. Really, really sexy once again, and smells, frankly, like a higher end designer fragrance than it actually is. Let's go cheap again with Rochas once more, this time L'Homme. So L'Homme Rochas is one of the cheapest blue fragrances that you can buy. It's just crazy, crazy inexpensive. A lot of times you can find it for around $25 or so. Again, that's assuming you're shopping at discounters. And I don't think it took off in a massive way because there's a flanker to it, but just one. But who knows? You know, maybe 2025, a new one comes out, maybe. So in terms of notes, what you're looking at here is blood orange, pineapple, and cardamom off the top, juniper, geranium, and basil in the mid, and then tonka, moss, and patchouli in the base. It has a nice fresh sweetness off the top, but it is quite aromatic and has almost like a fuzzy scent profile to it. It's always reminded me a little bit of Dolce & Gabbana's K, the way that it comes across. Not in the sense that they smell the exact same. You know, you don't spray one on here, and go like, oh, I can't tell the difference. It's not that kind of deal. But it is one of those ones, almost like I talked about earlier with Ralph's Club and Y, where they're not brothers, but they're in the same family. They're like cousins. And I would say for the most part that if you really enjoy K, you'll probably like this one as well. And I actually like this more than Dolce & Gabbana's K, especially when you factor in the price point. After that, let's talk about Ferragamo's Spicy Leather. Darn good fragrance. Really, really well done from Ferragamo. Even retail pricing is not too bad on this one when you compare it to all the other retail prices out there. It's way more than like all these at discounters, but you know, if we're doing apples to apples, it's not so bad. Ooh, that's a good atomizer too. And from time to time, it does pop up at discounters for about 55 bucks, 55 to 65, kind of in that range. And if you can get it for that, crazy steal. That during fall and winter time, really, really good. In terms of notes, you have saffron off the top, a touch of citrus, but more so based on the saffron. Also black pepper and nutmeg, clary sage as it dries down, and then leather, sandalwood, and patchouli in the base. It's a very wearable leather fragrance. It probably would appeal more to guys that are middle-aged and older because it doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of sweetness in there. Like it has some sweetness from the spices, of course, named Spicy Leather, but not overdone. And this is another line of fragrances that, yes, they keep coming out with new ones, but it doesn't seem like they're hitting in a huge way, which you could think of as either very unfortunate or very fortunate, depending on which frame of mind you have there. Either unfortunate because it doesn't get heralded as much or worn as much as a lot of other fragrances do, and you would think, man, it really deserves better. But on the other side, you could view it as, oh, it's like my secret weapon that people don't really know about, but I do. Darn good. Like I said, if you can find this for a good price at discounters, I would say scoop it up as long as you enjoy leather scents. All right, the last one for spring and summer is this one. This is Bvlgari Man Wood Neroli. Price-wise, this is gonna be roughly in that $50-ish range. Might be able to find it for a little bit less, might find it for a little bit more, but kind of in that range. And in terms of notes, no big surprise, it does indeed have both wood and neroli. But along with those notes, you also have orange blossom, bergamot, musk, amber, and leather. Really fresh, clean, a little bit green, kind of soapy. It's gonna remind you a little bit of Tom Ford's Neroli Portofino, kind of in that wheelhouse, which makes sense because most fragrances, or a lot of fragrances, that focus on neroli or that feature it very prominently are gonna usually make you think of Neroli Portofino at least a little bit. So this is gonna be one of those ones if you just wanna smell classy, well put together, the type of fragrance that will really elevate what you're wearing. It's not necessarily something that is aggressively loud, overly bold, and in your face. It's just something that is done with a deft touch and is extremely elegant and pleasing. All right, before we do the last fragrance, let's do the giveaway. So I got two here, again, completely unrelated. And one is Rochas La Nuit. Did I even fix that? Yeah, there we go. La Nuit. The other one is right here, Piazza Affare. This is from Milano Fragrance. So both of these I will give away to one of you out there. I've been doing a few videos here lately where I've got just a bunch of stuff that I collected over the year, whether it was because I found a really good deal and scooped up multiple bottles, or found a really good deal and scooped up just one to give away. And so I'm doing a whole bunch of those here toward the end of 2024, beginning of 2025. This is part of that. So in order to be entered in the giveaway, you have to be subscribed to the channel. You have to like the video, leave a comment below. And in the comment, just let me know kind of your hidden gem go-to fragrance. So whatever you consider a hidden gem, even if it's something, you know, like this from Yves Saint Laurent, if you consider it a hidden gem, just let me know what it is, the one that you like the most. And give me a couple weeks at least to pick a winner with Random Comment Picker, and I'll post it up on the community tab of the YouTube channel. If you're the winner, just hit me up, I'll ship this out to you. Reason for that is I like to batch them together. Basically, I like to wait until there's like 3 or 4 different winners and post them all at once. That way I'm not making a whole bunch of posts on the community tab like, you won, you won, you won, you won. I just put them all together. All right, last fragrance. It's this one, the One Eau de Parfum Intense from Dolce Gabbana. Kind of similar thought process here as with the Yves Saint Laurent. Yes, everybody knows Dolce Gabbana. Yes, everybody knows the One. But the One Eau de Parfum Intense, in spite of how good it is, oftentimes it gets overlooked. This one is cheaper than the YSL though, from discounters, 55, 60, something like that. Maybe you might occasionally be able to find it for less, especially if there's a sale going on or something like that. In terms of notes, you have cardamom off the top, but it's kind of an interesting note breakdown because there's also neroli in here, there's benzoin, there's cashmerean, there's leather, patchouli, and labdanum, and a touch of cypress as well. So it's one of those fragrances that kind of melds together fragrance notes that are typically fresher, brighter, cleaner, and ones that are a little bit richer, deeper, and bolder. And it creates this really appealing scent profile that's fresh, yes, but also sexy and sweet and a little bit fuzzy woody as well, especially because of that cashmerean. So it's a different type of wintertime fragrance, fall and wintertime fragrance. It's not full on, full bore, super sticky sweet. It keeps things a little bit more wearable, especially during daytime, but it doubles as a great evening scent as well. So there we go, guys. There are 10 different fragrances that you should know about that are a little bit lesser known, but still work extremely well if you're looking for a mass appealing fragrance for compliments, for positive attention. Remember the giveaway if you want to be entered in that. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.